What's up YouTube? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky and today's video is all about why you should not buy cars from Copart and IAAI. Now before everybody gets triggered and starts freaking out saying, well, I get great deals at Copart and IAAI, why would you say that? You know, there's good deals there. Now there are a lot of really great deals, but the reason why I'm going over this video today is I had one of our students, in Atlanta, Georgia, we just got him $750,000 in flooring lines. And he went ham on buying everything that was wrecked, damaged, and whatever else at Copart. Out of his $700,000 line, I think he spent about $500,000 on wrecked cars. So I'm going to tell you the reasons why you shouldn't do that, and if you are going to be purchasing at Copart and IAAI, there's a lot of things you need to think about and look for before you even start your journey. But before I get into the video, if you could please do me a favor and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps me find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, if you consider subscribing, I post great stuff like this all the time. And without any more shameless plugging, let's get into the video. So like I stated earlier, you know, you do get a lot of good deals from Copart and IAAI, but there's a lot of stuff that people don't understand about these auctions, and I see people get burned all the time. So it's Friday morning. I literally just got back from IAAI and and checking out a few cars at Copart, and as well as I'm here in Vegas in the non-runner section, and I see a lot of dealers that don't know any better. So one of the tips I'm going to give you guys is export titles. A lot of people fall trick to this. If you don't pay attention to the titles and what they are, you're gonna get screwed. So there's a lot of cars out there that you can get, and I actually made a video on this. I bought a Lamborghini Gallardo like years ago that had export title only. What this means is you are not allowed to register it in the United States. It's not even supposed to be on the road. You know, we put a dealer plate on it, we drove it around for a few months just to have fun. We ended up selling it to some guy in Seattle. But when you see the export only license, or export only title thing on the actual auction, you do not buy that car. Unless you're buying it for parts or something like that, you don't do it. Everybody's like, well, I know how to get around it. I got friends in the DMV. It won't work, because what you're gonna do is you may title it in your state, but the second you sell it to somebody and it goes across state lines, it's gonna red flag up and it's gonna kick it out of the system. And then somebody's gonna be coming after you for a lot of money because they can't register this car and it will not be allowed on the streets. And in some states, they'll actually impound your car. Another one is what's called junk titles. Junk titles are very, very bad. You cannot buy something with a certificate of junk title. So if you go out and you go to Copart and IAAI and you see this beautiful Hellcat and it's only barely wrecked on the side, you don't understand why it's salvaged out, and you buy it and it's got a junk title, you are SOL, just like that one. They will never, ever, ever register it underneath any type of state, any type of laws. I've watched people do mechanics liens against the titles, trying to find some sneaky ways around it. It will not happen. If you buy a car with a junk title, don't do that. My client that I was just talking about, he bought 5 cars with junk titles, and I think 1 with export only. And we talked about this in the training, and like I said, people just don't listen. They don't take the time to read the comments on the side. So I figured I'd make this video because this would be a good learning lesson for everybody. So stay away from those two. Now, the reason I say this video, you know, stay away from Copart and IAAI is if you're not an actual repair shop or you're very mechanically inclined, I do not recommend buying these vehicles, especially when you have a flooring line, because what's going to happen is let's say we buy a wrecked rolled over Silverado and we get it almost 50% a book. You know, with airbags and everything else, maybe you spend another $5,000-$6,000 and you profit maybe $10,000-$15,000. But the time it takes to rehab that car is a long time. So let's say it takes you 3 months to get it fixed, up and rolling, everything else. You're a newbie dealership, you don't have a body shop, you're just kind of learning the ropes. Well, in those 3 months, let's say you have payments on your flooring line, you're gonna have curtailments every 30 days. So let's say your curtailments on a $20,000 truck is $1,500. You're gonna be basically what, $4,500 into the car before you even start. Then you have to pay the repairs, and then you're gonna, on top of that, once it's fixed, then you have to put it up for sale. And there's only a few banks that do rebuilt titles, not a lot. So, you know, one of the things we talk about is, you know, you could buy a car with a clean title, let's say a $10,000 Sonata, you could have flipped that probably 3 times and made the exact same amount of money as you do with the rebuilt cars. Now, I tell a lot of people I love to buy rebuilt cars. I love to buy, you know, stuff with mechanical problems, blown engines, smashed bodywork, you know, but we have an actual full shop. I'm a mechanic by trade. Before I started being a dealer, I was turning wrenches long ago. So when I look at the cars, I know what the parts cost, what the recon is. You know, a lot of these things are going to blow you out of the way because my client even bought a newer Mercedes like the one I have behind me, and the front end was smacked. And he's like, look, it's not even that bad. I was going to get one in the rear end, but this one's not that bad. And I'm like, you know, the headlights are like $2,200 each, right? And he's like, no. I was like, and that's just the headlight. Then you got to buy the baluster, which is another maybe $500 to $800. Then you're going to have to buy the speed sensitive cruise control, all this other stuff. I think it had night vision, so that camera's another like $3,300. So, you know, stuff like this will wind up biting you in the butt if you don't know how to do it. And the difference between, you know, like simple things like having a smashed frame and a twisted frame. Now, most of the body shops are gonna know what I'm talking about. If for a lot of the newbies, you know, if we get a car that's hit in the front, you know, if we cut the core support off, we could pull the front of the vehicle out, straighten it out, and then add the new core support, and it'll be square. But if you get something that's twisted, and this happens a lot with trucks, so please stay away from buying trucks unless you actually have a real frame machine and know how to actually work the metal. But what happens is when you hit this and it twists like this, not only do you twist the frame, you twist all the body panels around it. So you're thinking, well, I'm just gonna pull it and make it really quick. And I don't know if you guys ever got behind a car on the freeway where when you're driving, you could see the rear wheel or the front wheels behind in front of the back wheels, and you see it kind of like road walking sideways on the freeway. That's what happens when you buy a car that's twisted and you don't correct it or properly correct it, and that's basically what we see on the road. Now, some people get away with this stuff, but a lot of states, like I said, when we fix a car, once you buy it basically salvage, you're gonna have to fix it, show your receipts, and go to an inspection facility. Inspection facility is gonna look at it, they're gonna see what you did, if the welds are correct, if you put the proper stuff, they're gonna check your receipts, and then they're gonna stamp it okay, and then they're gonna issue a rebuilt title. Now, for a lot of these people that are kind of skating through, they got these small little mom and pop shops that are just stamping okay on everything. So a lot of people are giving rebuilt titles a bad name. And the reason is there's a lot of people that are basically buying these cars, putting them in their backyard, you know, strapping them to a tree with their come along and pulling out the frame, not squaring it up, not taking measurements, not cutting off the core support and welding on a new one. It's not that expensive. Radiator sports are very inexpensive. Some of these cars, even like this car behind me, they're about $200-300. They're not that expensive. Take the time, cut it off, weld a new one on. It's a few spot welds. It looks 1,000 times better. Instead, these guys pull it out and smash it. It looks like hammered dog shit. It just looks awful. But the problem is when people start seeing that stuff, they think that all rebuilt cars are like this. Everything is Mickey Mouse and not done professional. So, you know, try to keep a little bit more of a standard higher than that. You know, don't get me wrong, you want to save money. If you can fix parts, you know, instead of buying a door, try to repair the door. If you can't repair it, maybe buy a skin instead of buying a door. There's a lot of ways you could save money, but don't start that. Another thing that I'm going to tell you guys to stay away from with Copart and IAAI is they get flagged a lot for what's called TMU. So TMU is true mileage unknown, and this is a death sentence when it comes to financing your vehicle. So even though you have a rebuilt car, I have banks they'll do rebuilt cars, smashed cars, flood cars, fire cars, whatever the case is. One thing that most banks will not do is TMU. So what happens is when you buy these cars at the auction, this is why you got to run a Carfax and auto check before you buy it. If the car's crashed and they can't read the odometer, sometimes they'll put 0 or 1 or cannot read. And this is the stuff they report to the DMV and the auctions. And that's what auto check and Carfax read off of. So if they happen to put, hey, this car has, you know, unknown miles, you're screwed because now that is in the Carfax. So when you go to buy it, even though it's a rebuilt title and it's only got 10,000 miles and you could sell it, if they list it as TMU, there's literally no bank that'll finance it. You know, and if they do, they're gonna require a huge down payment. It makes everything just a lot more, you know, problematic. And a lot of people complain about it. Even though the car could have low miles, they think when they see true mileage unknown, they think that you roll back the odometer. Even though maybe one of the auction employees was too lazy to jump start the car, or they just didn't have the keys. Because sometimes when people crash cars, they take the keys with them and they leave the car with no keys and there's no way they can read it. So stay away from TMU cars. You know, think about time consistency. You know, if you want to buy 1 or 2 cars from these auctions to fix up and make a few extra bucks and kind of build your skill, there's nothing wrong with that. I recommend buying cheap cash cars. You can buy cars for $3,000 to $4,000, pretty nice ones. I do it all the time. You know, a little damaged, a little rebuilt, we fix them up. We either sell them at the dealership or we put them in the rental car fleet. But before you do that, like I said, please take the time to figure out and see what the parts cost, look stuff up. Even if you have a few minutes at the auction, and get on eBay, get on AutoTrader, there's a bunch of parts apps that you could buy where you can look up headlights, taillights, become friends with your local LKQ, BNR, or whatever wrecking yard you have in there, and just text them, say, hey, I'm looking at a 2015 Dodge Dart, the front end smashed on it. I'm gonna buy it for 800 bucks. What does the front end cost? And then you could send them pictures of it. And most times if you give them the VIN, they'll say, hey, hoods, 300 bucks, headlights are, $150 OEM, brand new aftermarket, or like maybe 85, 95 bucks, and they'll give you the breakdown of everything. So this way you can realize and see, hey, this is a good deal. And then also you got to consider the time. A lot of people see the parts and like, wow, it's only 2-3 grand in parts, but you're looking at, sometimes hundreds of hours to tear these things apart, straighten them out, and fix them, especially when it's hit hard in the front end. Because even though like this car right here is a unibody, if they hit it really hard in the front end, there's crumple zones behind the tires and in front of the tires. So if for some reason it gets hit in the front, there may be, right here, there may be a crumple zone where for me to actually fix this, I have to take the engine and transmission out, put it on my frame machine and pull it. So now I'm thinking, oh, just the front end's damaged, it's no big deal, I'll pull it. Now I have to pull the whole engine out, everything else, take all the front end off just to get to this crumple zone back here. So that's the way your cars are designed, is to help you, take the impact and not do as much damage to the driver. But the downfall with that is like I said, even though the damage is up front, you gotta check all the way back here, and also up sometimes if you've seen that where it's hitting the front and the windshield's cracked, that'll tell you right there that the frame underneath is tweaked, or it's been hit so hard that it shocked the frame all the way back. So there's the insider tip. So if you see something with light front end damage and you see a crack coming from the bottom of the windshield up, don't touch it, because more than likely it's been tweaked enough or hit hard enough where that crumple zone was impacted, and it's gonna cost you a lot of money. So, a lot of this stuff, it's gonna take time to learn. It's gonna take, experience. You're gonna screw up on some cars. There's nothing wrong with that. I'd rather have you guys screw up with one car than instead of my client that went out and bought $500,000 in cars. Right now we're trying to fix those things and basically sell them at the auction, because he's gonna be in a lot of trouble in the next 3 months if he doesn't get rid of them. But like I said, learn the experience, try it, have some fun. There's some really great channels on YouTube that people talk about rebuilding stuff. Like I said, we have the shop back here. I'm waiting for the lift to get installed. Once the lift gets installed, I have a small frame machine I'm gonna bring here, and I'm gonna start showing people how to pull frames, how to do mechanical work. So not only am I gonna teach you guys about the rental car business, car dealerships, we're gonna do automotive repair and auto body as well. And we're also gonna be doing some cool projects. So I'm just, like I said, still in the middle of finishing the studio. I have a microphone actually that's brand new that I'm testing out. So if you hear a little bit of an echo, I apologize. But if you learned anything, I would truly appreciate it if you would smash the like button. And also if you consider subscribing. I post great stuff like this all the time, and I love to get your guys' ideas on whatever you want me to post. So please in the comment section below, put any of your ideas, whether you want me to do videos on rebuild cars, salvage cars, how do I buy them at the auction, whatever your ideas are, questions, whatever else, put them in the comment section below. I personally answer every single one. None of my staff, just myself. Also, if you guys can please do me a huge favor and follow me on Instagram at automotive.life. I post great stuff there all the time. I'm way more popular on Instagram than I am here on YouTube for some reason, but that's a lot of times because I can cuss and do a lot of crazy stuff that I cannot do, unfortunately, on YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.